This is absolutely frustrating. You want to play guitar, you want to make music, but your body is refusing to cooperate. I had a cervical vertebra dislocated from staring at music stands in a bad position. I had a tennis elbow. I had lower back pain. I had shoulder pain. I had stiff knees. I have a vulture neck. I never had a sore thumb though. But I know a few of my students had, and there are many more suffering not only from the pain, but also because they can't play the guitar as they like. So let's have a closer look at the thumb together and solve that problem once and for all. By the way, I'm not a doctor and this is not medical advice. A correct thumb position, does that even exist? And my answer is absolutely not, because if you watch those players play, and I mean like top names, I mean guitarists, so every guitarist knows, then it becomes clear there's not just one correct position where your thumb needs to be, but there are many. The thumb is always on its move, and it's so dependent on what's going on here on the front, which makes sense. So if you play like single notes, that is different from chord playing. If you play like more complex things with all four fingers on the fretboard, that is different from when you play with your index finger only. So the thumb needs to have a different position for all those kind of things. What stands out when you watch those players play, and I highly recommend you doing that, is that the thumb is almost never far off the center of pressure applied here on the front. So what does that mean? If I play with my index finger only, that would mean the center of pressure applied here on the front is obviously where my index finger is. So I need my thumb to be here, opposite the index finger, not here. If I have all fingers on the fretboard, then the center of pressure would be obviously here somewhere in the middle. And there it is, my thumb is like somewhere in the middle here. It's not here, because that would mean I have to press on that side here way harder. And this is what is a major source for that sore thumb, because I have a position that is not that healthy for the thumb. At least it's not that healthy if I press on it very hard, and this is what I have to do because I don't have it opposite the pressure applied on the front. And I see that guitar beginners do all the time, and you would usually start with open chords. Let's have a look at those. So let's say you play G major, that would be a common G major fingering, and the center of pressure would be here somewhere between middle and index finger, and I would have my thumb right there between those two. I don't have it here. Now if I have it here and then I move to E minor, and this is what happens all the time, you move somewhere else on the front but the thumb stays where it is, but the center of pressure is obviously not here, it's here, it's where the middle and ring finger is, so I need to move my thumb slightly to the left. If I stay here all the time for all chord changes, that is what's causing that sore thumb, or at least it's a major source for that. Now, if you still hear someone saying your thumb needs to be down all the time or your thumb needs to be up all the time, that is just wrong. Don't listen to that. The proof is in several things. There's a link in the description of Steve Vai playing, and watch him playing. He's incredible playing, but also his thumb technique, he's just everywhere with it. Sometimes he has it here, sometimes he has it here. And that is all dependent on what he's doing here on the front, on the fretboard. That's what I said. Also, proof number 2, if you want to play bar chords, you have your thumb up. That is not only way harder to do, I would even say it's impossible to do proper bar chord playing for a longer period of time with your thumb up. The opposite is true for bendings. If you want to bend that string, your thumb needs to be up, because otherwise you would just push away the neck, which doesn't make sense, right? The difference is, especially with guitar beginners, they kind of like want to leave the thumb where it is, and that is the problem. You need to learn to move that thumb left, right, up and down. I discovered that with my playing too, so I usually have my thumb up because it's just more comfortable in that position that I play in. And then the moment that I want to spread those fingers here, I want to be more flexible, I go down with my finger, and that's not even something that I think about. It's just automatic. I go down instantly to have that flexibility. Do you see that? I can't do that with my thumb up. So really you need to learn when and where to move your thumb, and then you will get rid of that sore thumb. Let's have a look at position shifts, because this is where I see my students are struggling with. Let's say you want to move from A string 3rd fret to A string 5th fret. What you don't do is that. You start here on the 3rd fret, then you move with your index finger and you leave the thumb behind. Because now you're in that position, we've talked about that. The center of pressure applied here is obviously where the index finger is, but your thumb is far off that. So you would need more pressure, and if you apply more pressure to hold down that string here properly, you would cause that sore thumb here. Instead, do it like that. You have it like that, and then you move the whole hand, including your thumb, to that next position. And also, to do that position shift properly, your thumb is actually the one that goes ahead and pulls the index finger behind. So you go slightly ahead with your thumb. That is doing the actual position shift. And the index finger is following it. How much you press on it can also cause that pain. And here's a simple example. Let's say you have your hand like so, and every day you push against it lightly. Just like so. That wouldn't cause any pain, I guess. But if you did it like so, day by day, and that for a longer period of time, that would cause pain in your wrist, that's for sure. Same as here on the fretboard. If you could just take that least amount of pressure that you need to hold down the string properly, and with properly I mean that it doesn't buzz. We don't want that sound. We want a clear sound. That's all we want. That would be cool, right? And I'll show you how. To get that light touch, you do the following exercise. You can do it with single notes, with every finger. You can do it with whole chords. We are on the A string, 3rd fret, and with the index finger here, you press on it. Press a bit harder. That's okay for now. You pluck the string, and all we want is that clear sound. And what we do now is we want to find out, are we pressing too much? And you do it the following way. You pluck the string, you take off that pressure slowly until that point where you feel like you're kind of like losing the string and it starts to buzz. Right there. Right there. And you just need to press on it a tiny bit more, and that's it. Everything that you press on it more is just a waste. It slows you down and it can cause that pain. Now we know you can't just press hard on the string. That's not the solution. Instead, we need an efficient way to actually apply that pressure to the string. You can test that yourself. If you have your little finger like so and you push against it, you can easily push it away. You have nearly any power in that little finger here. But if you had your finger like so, you would have plenty of power in that finger here. So let's apply that to the guitar. And I just take the little finger here because that's usually the one that we're struggling with the most. So if you had your finger flat like that here, and even some people can collapse those joints here too, so that the finger is actually curved like that. Fortunately, I can't do that. You would have less power in that finger, which means you have to press harder here to actually get the same result, that clear tone that we're aiming for. But if you had your finger like so, round, you would have plenty of power in that finger. So that means you have to press less hard, which means you're minimizing the likelihood of causing that pain. If you need any help with your guitar playing, then check out highguitar.com, where you can get one-on-one lessons. I understand how frustrating it is to be enthusiastic about guitar playing but not know where to start or what to do next. And that's why every month I help dozens of people just like you to learn guitar quickly, and I'd love to do the same for you. In theory understood, but how to make it practical? I would do the following, so check those points. Is your thumb in an efficient position? Is your thumb opposite the center of pressure applied here on the front? Then your thumb can be up or down depending on what you're doing here. But does it make sense where your thumb is actually? So you can have it on the neck, but does that make sense for what you're doing here? Or could it be easier to do with the thumb below that middle line of the neck here? Then for position shifts, let your whole hand move, including your thumb. Also get a light touch, so don't press on that much. And then I would take like a song that I would be familiar with, that I don't have to think about that much, but I could focus on those technical details here. And then I would play like 1 or 2 or 3 bars depending on what it is, and I would stop and check those points. Let me demonstrate that with G major and E minor just to keep it simple. And then I stop and then I check. Wow, yeah, cool. Round fingers, nice light grip. I had my thumb here, could have been here, but that's okay. It felt good. And then I continue. Nice again, round fingers, light touch, the thumb has a good position, and everything else that you feel like could have been better, you just fix it. I'm glad you made it to the end. If you're struggling with your thumb, you might be struggling with bar chords as well. This video here will change everything.